Hi everyone, it's Joe Butterfly, and welcome to my first episode of Butterflies in Space. Today, I will discuss this week's developments in the space launch community and how these events may have a significant impact on global launch and space activities. This impact may be bigger than what is talked about. It's funny, but there's always something exciting going on, especially with SpaceX. But I think with this week's successful launch of Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket, after a 15-month hiatus, the space exploration frontier and space-based communication initiatives are about to become a lot more interesting and eventually a lot more competitive. It is no secret that our interplanetary ambitions are becoming a reality as our desire to create interplanetary habitats on our moon and the red planet Mars become more of a reality with every passing day. But let's not forget that the majority of current rocket launches is all about building a satellite communication network in space. That's right. So much of our space activity today focuses on creating secure, high-speed communication satellite constellations able to deliver phone and internet services to anywhere in the world, including a person on a small boat in a big ocean. Of course, there are significant national security issues at hand too that we will discuss in future episodes. This is a big issue. In fact, it has been said by some that today's space race is actually a race to put the most effective satellites into orbit. Communication networks, including SpaceX's massive Starlink and Starshield satellite networks, and Blue Origin's early startup initiative called Project Kuiper, amongst a handful of key players, are set to disrupt the way data is delivered from endpoint to endpoint that will change the way global communication occurs. Unquestionably, the new technology frontier that is about to cause incredible disruption will be located a few hundred or few thousand miles above our heads, and not down in the ocean seabeds where these big outdated cables carry data. Oh, and those of you who know a bit or two about coding, get it, bit? We're moving to qubits. I expect that sooner than later, we will no longer be using binary bit-based coding as the age of quantum computers and qubits fast approaches. And these quantum operating systems will not be located here on Earth, but up there in the cosmos, as companies like IonQ and others prepare to unlock the massive power of quantum computers and change our lives in ways we can't even comprehend, including one day in the near future, a quantum internet. Boy, we have a lot to talk about. So let's get to it. I think most of us think of SpaceX when we think of rocket launches. And why not? The company lives and breathes the imaginary reel. And when I think of the imaginary reel and SpaceX, I immediately think of a fully stacked Starship. You know, that reusable, big, fantastic rocket that is 121 meters high, that's 397 feet, and has a massive 30-foot diameter. We expect one day sooner than later will be a workhorse for NASA's Artemis and our moon's Gateway program. And, of course, SpaceX's Occupy Mars mission. So, this week, SpaceX conducted a successful static fire test on Starship's engines, signaling that the BFR is getting ready to have its third launch test flight, which likely will occur during the first week of this January. Why is Starship so important to SpaceX? Well, there are many reasons, beginning with the company's ambitions to help return Earthlings to the moon under NASA's Artemis program. And then there is the company's realistic pursuit to make the imaginary real idea of mankind becoming a multi-planetary species by occupying Mars, and then eventually travel deeper into the cosmos a reality. Funny, back in 2001, Elon Musk first discussed with the Mars Society's board of directors his goal to colonize Mars. And here we are, in the middle of history, with a real possibility that in about 4 years, maybe less, SpaceX will be utilizing robots on Mars to begin creating a Mars colony. And that is why Starship is so important. With a payload that is expected to carry between 100 and 150 tons of supplies per launch, Occupy Mars moves from the imaginary real to a reality. But there is another important issue. The incredible Starlink satellite constellation build that began in 2019 needs larger payload capacity for the company to effectively deploy their next generation of larger, more dynamic satellites in order to service over 2.3 million customers worldwide, located currently across 70 countries. I'm sure the number of users around the world is about to grow dramatically. You know, the idea of providing internet and phone service to individuals around the world currently without access is the imaginary real. The ability for all Earthlings to connect with one another and have access to resources and services via the internet, no matter where you are located, is not just important but necessary if we're going to hold on to the idea that all Earthlings are equal. And that is very cool. Who knows? Perhaps SpaceX has intent to create a quantum internet by eventually putting powerful quantum computers in their next generation of Starlink satellites. Let's face it, the ability of SpaceX to explore deep space and realistically execute its various launch goals comes down to the ability of Starlink generating revenue and profit for the company. In fact, it has been reported that the company is expected to generate over $15 billion in revenue in 2024. I can't imagine just how big that number will increase as their technical reach expands with the FCC's recent approval for SpaceX to launch a 22 satellite beta test phone service. Imagine SpaceX providing phone and internet service anywhere in the world. Now, imagine those satellites one day forming a quantum internet. And a quantum internet operating in space is probably a lot closer than you think. It's something we'll be talking about in future episodes. Yup, the imaginary real is alive and well at SpaceX with Elon Musk and Gwen Shotwell. Speaking of satellites, Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket recently launched and successfully returned to Earth this past week after a 15-month hiatus from the launch pads as the company modifies both its rocket and their Kuiper program satellites. There's a lot to talk about right now connected to Amazon and Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos' own deep space ambitions. Not to mention the Blue Origin's competitive pursuits to build a dynamic satellite constellation of their own to compete with SpaceX. Well, as I mentioned, SpaceX's own sustainability and independence from the bowels of political whims comes down to their ability to pay for a great deal of their own initiatives via their Starlink satellite business. In fact, the company earns a lot more revenue from their own satellite business than they do launching payloads for NASA and other countries or companies. Blue Origin recognizes this. But there's also a difference. You see, when Jeff Bezos left his daily operating role at Amazon to focus on Blue Origin, what he was really doing was attempting to shore up his own stake in Amazon by protecting the company's main income stream, Amazon Web Services. Now, you might be asking yourself, what? I get it, but you see, in order for AWS to inevitably compete with the changing cloud service business that are migrating from Earth into space, not to mention that sooner than later, these binary-based space operating clouds will likely be qubit operating quantum computer based. Amazon needed to get into the satellite business, which they have slowly begun through their recent early stage rollout of their Kuiper program. But you see, going back to the SpaceX model, a successful satellite program requires a company to control launch costs, which could be extremely high. So it's no surprise that this week, Blue Origin has reportedly submitted a buyout bid to purchase the fabled United Launch Alliance, according to the Wall Street Journal. For those of you not familiar with United Launch Alliance, or ULA, it's a company partnership that began in 2006 between Lockheed Martin and Boeing. ULA developed some pretty impressive rockets, including the Delta IV Heavy and the Atlas V. But what's most interesting is that the company is expecting to launch their Large Vulcan Centaur rocket on January 8th, 2024. And I suspect that Blue Origin is very interested in this particular rocket for both its satellite and space exploration endeavors. The Vulcan Centaur is a very big rocket, not Starship big, but at 200 feet tall and 18 feet wide, it has the ability to bring 13.5 ton payloads into translunar orbit and 30-ton payloads into low Earth orbit. In other words, Blue Origin is looking for a workhorse outside of their recently launched New Glenn rocket to finally deploy their satellites and accelerate their space exploration initiatives. Speaking of ULA, I think it's important to share that Blue Origin is not the only bidder. A Wall Street private equity company called Cerberus has also submitted a bid for ULA. As you can see, my friends, this space race is heating up. And this week, we have seen a lot of activity connected to SpaceX's upcoming Starship test launch and Starlink's phone service beta test, to Blue Origin's hot pursuit to build out its own Kuiper satellite network and their potential buyout of ULA in order to increase their launch capability and protect Jeff Bezos's and Amazon's own interests. Wow! The space race in many ways is about the private sector's initiatives and each company's activity to create income streams in order to have as much independence and autonomy as possible. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show from the world of the imaginary real that is real. I hope you consider subscribing to my show and sharing with others about butterflies in space. I would love to hear your comments and thoughts about this week's episode. And to all my friends on the autism spectrum, trust yourself, be patient, follow your dreams, and remember, you're not alone. Hey, I'm Joe Butterfly. Remember to be nice to one another. Bye for now.